Just Stevens, change is the UK Labour's big pledge at this election, yet Labour, of course, has been in power in Wales for a quarter of a century. Surely it's more of the same for Wales.
But this election is a general election. It's about who's going to lead the country, the United Kingdom. It's going to be about who's going to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And this is an opportunity for voters in Wales and across the United Kingdom to pass judgment on the last 14 years of Tory chaos and mismanagement.
And how does that lead to change in Wales?
Well, because the UK government controls a lot of what does go on in Wales. So if you think about the tax system, the benefits system, foreign policy, defence, lots of areas are still reserved to the UK government. And of course, if we are lucky enough to win the general election, it means that we will have two Labour governments at each end of the M4 working hand in hand for the benefit of the people of Wales. And we know, because we can look back to the last time that happened, it was some time ago, that it created huge benefits for Wales. We introduced devolution.
Okay, working hand in hand, you say. Okay, let's look at some of the big issues of the past years. HS2 is a big issue, HS2 funding in particular. Was it right that Wales got no consequential funding from building high-speed rail in England?
Well, HS2 is no longer in existence.
But the principle is what I'm asking you for.
Well, if you look at what's happened to HS2, we don't know how much money has actually been spent. We don't know what money is left, if any money is left.
The principle, though, was it right that Wales got no consequential funding?
Well, I wasn't part of that decision-making.
But you might be.
Well, no, I won't be, because...
With any future project, the principle is what I'm asking you about.
What will happen if Labour wins the election is that we will work as a UK Labour government with the Welsh Government and with Welsh local authorities to ensure that transport infrastructure is built in Wales and built for the benefit of people across Wales.
So you can't give a concrete guarantee that the same thing wouldn't happen again, that something built in England wouldn't allow funding to come to Wales?
I'm not going to make any guarantees about anything that's not in our manifesto, because everything that's in our manifesto is costed. We've said where it will come, the money will come from, and how we will pay for it.
Okay, what about North Wales Main Line? What about the commitment from the Conservatives to electrify North Wales Main Line? Will you stick to that?
The last assessment of how much it would cost was in, I think, 2015, and that assessment was more, if you take it up with inflation to today's terms, more than the amount that the Conservatives said that they were going to put aside for it.
You can't commit to that?
What I've said is that we will work with the Welsh Government and local authorities to deliver transport infrastructure for the benefit of the people across Wales.
Okay, I want to turn to devolution of policing and justice, because it's something that's been a long-standing call of the Welsh Labour government here in Wales, yet it doesn't seem that you're willing to listen to them on that. Why?
If you look at what people in Wales are concerned about at the moment, what they want to see happen, it's the cost of living, it's the cost of energy bills, it's the fact that our public services need investment and reform. They're concerned about levels of immigration, and they're also concerned about crime and law and order. And I can understand why, when we've had 14 years of Conservative government and we've seen what they've done to the policing and the criminal justice system, where we've had 20,000 police officers cut from the street. We've got people, victims of rape who are waiting 1,000 days for their case to be heard. If you're looking through the lens of that at the criminal justice system, you're going to want things to be fixed.
Sure, but these are your own Labour colleagues.
No, fiddling around with structures and systems when there are urgent things to be done to fix things, which is what are people's priorities in Wales. I don't think anyone would be forgiven for sitting in a room and trying to rip up and reconstruct the Home Office and the Ministry of Justice at a time when crime is blighting our streets, violence against women and girls is soaring.
This is a long-standing call of the Welsh Labour government, your colleagues in Wales. Do you not trust their instincts on this?
Of course I trust my colleagues in Wales, but actually devolution is an agreement. It's not a demand, and devolution is not an event, it's a process. We have made a commitment, and it's been agreed with my colleagues in Welsh Labour, in Welsh Government and across our party, that we will explore devolving probation and youth justice.
Yet, explore, consider, hardly a commitment, is it? That's a commitment to think about it, not do anything.
Well, you've got to think about things before you do them.
Because if you don't,
if you don't think about them before you do them, you end up with a disaster, which is what we've seen over the 14
have commissioned a report from the former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, who recommended this. But you say that's not enough, we still need to think about it.
I'm talking about priorities, and the priority, that is why our first steps concentrate on public services, on health and education. It concentrates on GB Energy and bringing down energy bills for good for people. It concentrates on crime and law and order. You know, those are the things that people are concerned about.
Okay, I want to talk to you about Vaughan Gething. You as a UK Labour Party are really giving your backing to Vaughan Gething as First Minister when he's just lost a vote of confidence in the Senedd. Aren't you ignoring the democratic voice of the Senedd? You say Labour delivered devolution. You're now undermining it, aren't you?
No, we're not. No.
You're
Not at all.
ignoring the democratic voice of the Senedd. They said they had no confidence in Vaughan
This was
Gething.
a political stunt by the Tories.
It was a vote in the Senedd.
Aided and abetted by Plaid Cymru. It was a non-binding vote. And I have absolute confidence in Vaughan Gething. He's getting on with the job. You know, since he's become First Minister, he's sorted out the dispute with the doctors. He's reviewed this farming scheme. There's been a review of the 20-mile-an-hour policy. He's listening to the people
Which
of Wales.
has made life easier for you campaigning for a general election at a UK Labour level. But why are you backing a man who not only took £200,000 from a criminal to fund his election campaign, but then lost a vote of confidence in the Senedd?
Vaughan Gething has broken no rules. He has broken no rules. He has not broken the ministerial code. He's broken no Senedd. He's broken no Senedd rules. And in fact, Andrew R.T. Davies has stood on the floor of the Senedd and said, Vaughan Gething has broken no rules.
One might argue that this actually works for you at a UK level. You've got a leader in Wales who's too weakened to speak out against you, despite not delivering on Welsh Labour calls. And actually, Vaughan Gething is exactly where UK Labour wants him right now, weakened and unable to stand up to you.
I disagree entirely. And what we're focusing on at the moment, and what everybody is focusing on, is a general election. Vaughan Gething is not a candidate in the general election. We are having a general election for the election of the UK Parliament for MPs across Wales, and I hope everybody on the 4th of July will go out and cast their vote, and I hope as many of them as possible will vote for Labour and get rid of Conservative MPs who have been part of 14 years of catastrophic and incompetent management of the United Kingdom.
I want to ask you about one other thing that's come up during the campaign, and this is parachuting candidates into safe Labour seats in Wales. Many of your own Welsh Labour members are deeply unhappy about this. Is it right when you've got very hard-working, diligent Labour members, grassroots members who could have stood in those various seats, that you parachute candidates in?
There is an application process in every seat in Wales, and we follow our rules. It's a democratic process. In fact, I haven't had a single Labour member tell me that they're unhappy about candidates.
I've had Labour members tell me. In fact, one has stood down and left Labour because of this. So if they're not talking to you, why? Darren Williams, of course, who is a member of the NEC.
He's not a member of the NEC.
He was a member of the NEC. He's left the party. I've also spoken to people in other constituencies where members have been parachuted in and they're deeply unhappy with what you've done.
Well, you're obviously talking to very different people because nobody has said anything to me about being unhappy. And as I said, there's been an application process, people applied, and really good candidates were selected.
I mean, the question that comes from this is if you're willing to treat your own grassroots Labour Welsh members like this, how are you going to treat the rest of Wales if you're in power?
We're not treating grassroots members in the way that you're suggesting. I've just explained to you. A decision is made, democratically made, and the candidate is selected.
Jo Stevens, thank you very much.
Thank you.